Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. And tonight we're going to be talking about being Mary Jane, the being Mary Jane syndrome. How did we get here and why Black women are always losing? Part three. Let's get into it. So let's just take a step back and talk about the television era. Okay. Television was a means of entertainment, the art imitating life. It was when people would sit down as a family to watch a film or a movie or a series of their choice and then discuss and see and be inspired to live a certain kind of life based on characters that they ultimately could relate to. And this was what found the foundation of media was built on. But then I'm going to skip a lot of things in this historical recap. But if you guys want us to get further into this, you can leave a comment down below in the comment section, and we will take that into consideration in our next series. But then we move into the shift in television when actors and actresses began to portray others as themselves. In one way, this was sort of like a bias or one basic propaganda which we see being played out is the depiction of satires. So there are specific minstrel shows where Black people were being portrayed by white people in a particular light in order to sell a narrative. And this was the first attempt at, I won't say successful attempt, let's say successful attempt at propaganda that we see alive in the media for the first couple of decades of television. And a part of that was because Black people were just not allowed to act for themselves. And another part of that was so that the narrative of the Black experience could be controlled through the lens of a person or an aspect or a part of society that wanted to soothe the guilt that they had obtained from not having reached at a place that they actually deserved. So the story of the Black American was being told through the lens of white people in such a way to discredit some of the suffering and sufferation that Black people were experiencing on a whole at this time. And because of this, we have seen a people started to actually drink that Kool-Aid, where people actually believe that that was in other societies across the world, that that's exactly how Black people are. Lazy, good for nothing, scoundrel, um, and yeah, and so it was a very ironic time. But as a media house, as people, you it was very upsetting. And you could actually see the rejection of this. Rejection can also be a form of silence and non-willingness to perform. But as the media began to shift and there began to be a need for more cultural diversity or just culture on a whole, Black people were able to perform and to be seen on television because they just basically, in my non-professional language, had more style. I mean, rock and roll blues, all of that stuff was just something that helped to formulate American culture at such a deep level where we see people like Elvis Presley, even Frank Sinatra being influenced by Black culture because that was something that was associated with the culture of the common man. And a lot of societies use the common man's experience to really bring into play the essence of what that country means. In Germany, you have football, which was the sport of the common man. England as well. And so seeing the common man on television was a great way to sell people the American dream and also to sell them products in a way that was non-threatening and inspirational and comforting because you saw yourself on television when you saw some of the characters that were being depicted in a positive light. Apparently, you so yeah, so apparently that was like something that was very interesting for people to learn about the history of television. You can't expect to be told a bold-faced lie about yourself and agree totally, or would you? Because what we then experience later on is that women, Black women, let us fast forward now, as of the movement of the color purple, a very deeply seated thorn in the Black woman's side, because it was a movie that really touched a lot of sore spots for us, having had grown up in a space and place where Black beauty, this is something that I talked about in my last video, was not the thing that people were seeing, Black women were seeing on television a lot of. And that sore point was extrapolated in the movie Color Purple. One, because the movie was so well done, and two, because women could identify with Celie and the other characters as they were being portrayed in their development as women. The other stuff that took place in the Black male female dynamic, family dynamic, was particularly damaging because at that point you would have had, and this is not specific to Black culture, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people get confused and misunderstand, is that it's not specific to our culture. It was very specific to that time where unrecorded amounts of women and girls were being abused. That was normal for people of a particular social status, but it emphasized the Black female experience at that level because that was the experience of a lot of women. My husband, a white German man, saw the movie and he is almost 200 pounds on a skinny day, 6'2", manly man, and was in tears. I needed to give this man a roll of toilet paper to wipe his lily white face because it was just a very emotional movie. And people forget that when they watch that movie and make it the Black experience. As a matter of fact, people came out in the hundreds to men especially, Black men especially, came out to protest said movie because it painted such a poignant negative depiction of the Black man. Mister, you remember that? Um, Danny Glover, whose career almost did not survive this movie, um, was such a was such a deeply well done, well scripted, horrible, horribly effective character that men really felt that their picture as a Black man or their image as a Black man in America was destroyed because of said movie. And in many ways, it was. And the stereotypes, as true as they may be in certain cases, are actually very, very much more damaging than we could have anticipated, because the experience of the television era is that people identify with these characters and they live out and depict the behavior of these characters in their own personal lives. Now, there has been a lot of discussion and argument and heated debate about to what extent that is and how much responsibility needs to be put back on said consumer. And that's where censorship started coming in. And so I want to thread very lightly, as a person who has a lot to do with media and film and, what people portray in the media. But I want us to be very, very much aware of the result of how art imitates life and how life imitates art. Because we tend to forget, we become so engulfed in these movies like Being Mary Jane series and the Girlfriend series, because it is what we are experiencing right now. And when we are experiencing something right now that is negative, we want to know, we want to be able to make sense of the world and understand and articulate what it is that we're feeling that we're not able to give words to. And baby, the fact that you, a grown woman, cannot give words to your experience is the first issue. Because no one should be looking to media to give themselves a narrative of how to live their best selves. Now, I said this in the second in the part 2 of this series. And this is why we are losing, because we do not dictate the narrative that is given to us. We consume it. And how do we change the narrative is to have more of a say by not watching this garbage because it feels good, but is it helping? It feels good to eat chocolate all day, but is it helping me be my best, healthiest self? Now, even that is up for controversy now, for the very point that I'm making is that media has way too much control over our lives in ways that it actually shouldn't, because we are losing our objectivity and our reasoning and critical thinking skills because we consume this content blindly without actually paying attention to the propaganda behind it. I, for one, make it my absolute duty to question everything that I consume. If I'm watching the news, I want to know who wrote the story, where they went to school, how long they went to school for, what volunteer organizations they're affiliated with, who their friends are, what kind of coffee they drink. I want to know everything about that person because I know as a psychologist, I'm not a psychologist yet, I'm more in the neuroscience field, but I know in psychology that a person is the sum total of the experiences that they have had, and you can, to an extent, predict the direction as to which a person is going based on those experiences. Now, of course, the human experience is very dynamic and very multifaceted, and people can switch on and off their behaviors as they choose when they know that they can choose. And so I don't hold anything for granted, but it helps me to understand, why is this person saying this thing about my people? Why is this narrative so common? Because for me personally, I can't relate. I remember when I could relate to Mary Jane and Joan and Celie and y'all. Come on, keep it coming. Keep them names coming, because you know who I'm talking about. I remember when I could have related to them and why I could relate it to them. But you know what helped me to understand that I was wrong in thinking that these women were me and I were them? Is that I realized that these are fictional characters who stayed in their hurt and pain, and that there was something else on the other side of that that needed to be uncovered by questioning everything. And that was because I had someone in my life, my grandfather, may rest his soul, always told me from the moment I was 11 years old, question everything. Because everybody has their agendas and everybody has a reason as to why they say or don't say certain things. And I think that there is a reason as to why you see these women running around on television acting the way that they act, character and real, some of the celebrities who are doing what they need to do in their reality TV shows, acting crazy the whole time, that I can see that they are doing the same thing and getting the same result while not doing certain things. And people, we are constantly being told that that just makes for better content. That is a lie, because what has happened to people like Ian Van Zandt and a couple others who really took people under their wings to say, hey, you were out of order and this needs to stop. We need more of that kind of content and less of the being Mary Janes, because this is the reason why we are losing. All it does is give us better language to continuously support and encourage bad behavior. Sorry, not sorry. But unlike me, we are all not honest and upfront and sincere in what's taking place in the media. So I have my agendas, and a lot of people are not upfront about their agendas. I think you guys, if you've been following me long enough, know what my agendas are. My agenda is I want to see more people win in relationships. I want to see men winning in relationships. I want to see women start to embrace their femininity. And I want to see you be able to stay safe and stay free. So please do that. Like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments, of course, just be respectful about it. And I hope to see you guys in the next one, okay? Peace.